This is Sports Charlotte, the podcast about sports in Charlotte. My name is Herb White. I am editor-in-chief at the Charlotte Post. This is Cameron Williams, who is a staff reporter at the Post. It is Thursday, July 17, 2025. And man, a whole lot of stuff is going on in Charlotte, but we'll tackle a couple of them because that's what we do. Obviously, a lot of buzz, conversation, whatever you want to call it, is going on around Major League Soccer in Charlotte. And you covered the announcement that the MLS All-Star Game is coming here next year.
Indeed. We can we can thank our former Post employee turned Axios reporter Ashley Mahoney for kind of bursting the Panthers and FC's bubble, because this was supposed to be a special announcement, but Ashley's a good reporter and she had a source that led her to know that this was about the MLS All-Star Game coming to Charlotte. She reported that, and so we walked in and they didn't even bother trying to hide it. They just had the All-Star thing up there, and whenever Commissioner Garber, from the MLS gave that announcement, as everybody was kind of like, oh, cool, we knew this. So, nonetheless, I think it's an awesome event that's being able to be held here in Charlotte. When we talk about soccer, this city has proven it's a soccer city, and that's why I started the story the way I did, because you had the FIFA Club World Cup here. Obviously, FC fans, you know, and I know they get rowdy at those games. They enjoy their soccer. And so this is becoming quickly a soccer city, from the independents and all the other lower level leagues that we have playing here as well. Having an all-star event like this is it's great for exposure. I don't think you can really get much better exposure than a FIFA Club World Cup, but nonetheless.
An actual World Cup.
But nonetheless, to get this here, it's big for the city, and I think just having the MLS's best come here for their overglorified scrimmage, as I consider all All-Star games, it's great. So I want to get your take on it. What do you think this does for exposure? I know Mayor Vi Lyles was very happy that this event's being held here. She thinks soccer represents diversity, as well as the city of Charlotte being very diverse as it is. They correlate very well.
It's another feather in Charlotte's cap as far as soccer goes. It's not an international event per se, but as far as domestic North American soccer goes, it's probably as good as it gets, short of having Major League Soccer, the final, played in your stadium, in your city. Can the Charlotte FC get to that level one day? Maybe. But for sure, the All-Star Game is a really big deal as far as soccer goes in this country. I've been to one in Atlanta a few years ago, and it's an entertaining afternoon and evening with people from all over congregating and taking part in the stuff that goes on at such a thing. It's not quite as flashy, maybe, as, let's say, an NBA All-Star Game, but it doesn't have to be. It's its own thing, and Major League Soccer is still making those incremental leaps and bounds to get to that level of more acceptance in American sports and the landscape that it inhabits. So I think it's a really big deal for Charlotte. I'm basically kind of surprised that it hasn't come here sooner, but obviously Charlotte FC and its ownership have done some really good things, and it has Major League Soccer's ear in terms of what this city is capable of doing. Now, the thing to me that even beyond Charlotte getting the All-Star Game is, what's the format? Will it stick with the tried and true, where you've got Liga MX coming over and sending an all-star team to play, or will it take shape in a different format? I vote for a different format. What that would look like, I don't know. Could that be something similar to maybe MLS versus the world? Of course, MLS is the world. But if you're talking about MLS's players against an all-star group of folks from someplace else, could that be a possibility? Maybe a little difficult in terms of logistics, considering that's also World Cup year. So what that looks like, I'm not exactly sure, but hopefully they will come up with a formula that will be engaging and entertaining.
And that's, you mentioned the World Cup. That's one thing that David Tepper, owner of the Charlotte FC and the Panthers, he kind of mentioned. He's like, having an all-star game of any sort, it's a pretty big deal. But when you talk about the MLS All-Star Game being right after the World Cup, a year removed from having the FIFA Club World Cup here, it's he said it's a great sort of launching pad. Well, to me, I think this is just a great continuation of the great soccer that we've been able to bring to this city. But he was big on talking about what this does for the community, having this week-long event leading up to the game, all the things that can be happening within the city, getting fans from all over the country coming and enjoying the restaurants and all the stuff that Charlotte has to offer. So I know Tepper might get a bad rap from a lot of people, but I do think
most of that is because of the Panthers. Let's be honest.
Well, but he does seem to have a very community-driven mindset when it comes to this. So I mean, I can respect that and what it does for the city. And then I mentioned Vi Lyles just talking about how this integrates so much diversity. She was very expressive when it comes to Charlotte. This has been proven to be one of the most diverse cities in the state, even country. And so just bringing soccer, which is one of the most diverse sports in the world, if not the most diverse sport in the world, to this city with the MLS All-Star Game is very exciting for her as the mayor.
You talked about David Tepper. This is part of what he talked about when he took ownership of the Panthers way back when they still had some semblance of relevance, was to make use of Bank of America Stadium. Mm-hmm. He saw it as an asset that was underused. And part of his plan moving forward from that point was to bring more sporting events to that facility, more concerts, more whatever could squeeze in there. Mm-hmm. And he has done that. His team has laid out a plan that has brought all kinds of stuff to Charlotte.
Even the Savannah Bananas.
Yeah. I mean, stuff that maybe 10, 20 years ago, we would have never thought of under the previous ownership and management of the Panthers. Major League Soccer in and of itself was a huge win because that's programming that now goes into that stadium that wasn't there before. Mm-hmm. And with the international soccer, FIFA Club World Cup, ICC, CONCACAF, you name it, it's got alphabets in it. He's bringing it here in some form or fashion. So I think that he does deserve a lot of credit for doing that. Now, if he can get his main claim to sports fame turned into the right direction,
we might be talking.
We're talking about some serious stuff then. But you got to give him credit where credit is due. No doubt about it. Yeah. This is a major cap.
And you talked about the soccer programming, and he gave a quote saying, since the team came to be, they've had over 20 million minutes of grassroots soccer programming. And that includes FC, that includes the FIFA Club World Cup. It includes, all these lower level leagues, the Independents, the Ascent. And I mean, that's just here in Charlotte. So when you're talking about getting soccer more, or getting, I guess you could say, more exposure for the city of Charlotte as a soccer city, you can't really argue with the facts. They've done a good job of it. And so I think this is only another event that's going to do more for getting exposure for the city and making it known that, hey, Charlotte values soccer. So if you like soccer, we've got something for you, whether it be lower level like Ascent or Independence, major league level, or hopefully one day, like you've already mentioned, get an actual World Cup here.
Yeah, we'll see about all that. But it's a good thing. The date and time of the All-Star game is to be determined, but it'll be in Charlotte. So buckle up. That's going to be a rollicking good time, no doubt about it.
It will be. So, from one pitch that includes football to the same pitch that includes football, Americano.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, American football.
It's right around the corner.
Yes, it is. Camps open, depending on what level, later on this month. And colleges open in August. And this week, the CIAA Media Day was held Wednesday in Durham, which is the site of the conference title game this year. And in the preseason rankings put together by coaches, Johnson C. Smith came in second, the highest in school history, with 101 points. Virginia Union scored 103 points. They won the last two CIAA titles, and that is pretty consistent with the going thinking, I believe, in terms of the CIAA. And the Golden Bulls, I think they understand that it was a missed opportunity last year. The cynic would say they flat blew it by losing those last two games in the season, which cost them not only a chance at the CIAA title game, but also the NCAA playoffs. And this group is rebuilt to go the distance this year.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but you say there's the pessimist and then
the cynic,
and well, I try to be the long-term optimist here. And the way I look at this is they got robbed. Forgive me if I'm wrong, or correct me if I'm wrong. Virginia Union, Smith beat them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Virginia State, Smith beat them, right?
Right.
Enough said. Why weren't they in the CIAA championship? St. Aug's, get your stuff together because you cost Smith a right to play for the CIAA championship and ultimately get into the Division II playoffs because of however wonky way they decided to do their scheduling where, oh, well, this game doesn't count, but all these games do. And so, yeah, control the controllables, win the last two games you should have won. But my goodness, let's be real. They beat the teams that they needed to be in the CIAA championship. And call me a Charlotte homer if you will, but they got robbed.
I'd look at this totally differently. You play what's in front of you. They lost the last two games of the season. The NCAA selection committee looked at that and I think rightfully so determined you take teams that are playing their best ball at the latter part of the season, not at the start.
Well, they don't do that in basketball.
Well, that's a different sport. And they put different teams into that mix for football, and even fewer when you're talking about Division II. So instead of a field of 68, you got 24, and it's a more exclusive club. And was Smith one of the best teams in Division II last year? I believe they were, but they were not playing the best ball. And then that opened the door for Virginia Union to get in because they proved to be the more consistent team through the year. And I think
it takes away all importance of head-to-head matchups.
Yeah.
Because, okay, hypothetically say September the 20th this year, Virginia Union blows the doors off Smith, but then Virginia Union stumbles late, and Smith goes and they just gollywog Bluefield, Virginia State, Shaw, Winston-Salem, Fayetteville, and Livingstone. I bet you Virginia Union would get a bit more of a nod than Smith would. I just think it was...
Well, branding has something to do with that.
Call it bias if you will, but it's not right.
Well, maybe not, but humans are doing the deciding. And to me, I look at it like this. if you advance to the CIAA championship game, the winner this year, because Division II has updated its rules in terms of who gets into the playoffs, it's an automatic.
Mm-hmm.
You win the CIAA, you're in. So there's that carrot right off the top.
Well, they didn't even get a chance to play for it last year because of the way the conference rolled out.
But you got to put that behind you now because all that is history.
Well, it can definitely be a good
it's a motivator.
Motivational tool.
Absolutely.
So, as you look at Smith's schedule, I know we did the schedule reveal with Coach Flowers. Ooh, that's been 3 months ago. A lot has happened. Summer practice, all this stuff, and they're getting ready to kick off fall camps here in a couple weeks. And looking at the schedule, what do you think their record's going to be? Just knowing what you know about, obviously, Crouch being moved to linebacker, new quarterback, arguably one of the better ones Smith's had in some time. Not an easy start to the schedule.
Nope.
By no stretch of the means.
That Valdosta State game is going to tell us some things about Smith. A win there, and I think it sends a signal that this is a really good group, and if they're healthy, they'll be a menace.
Well, I'm going to get my P back by saying that I ain't going to call undefeated. Man, they were so close.
Yeah, they were close.
That hurts so bad. They're going to get to the CIAA championship this year.
I can ride with that.
Okay. We'll get my P back. Y'all heard it here first on July 17th.
I can see them making the title game. I can also, just based on paper, because paper doesn't play games, but just based on the roster construction, the personnel in place, I think this is a team that's capable of 9-1.
I mean, well,
but the CIAA is going to be
clearly
really stacked at the top. So
I mean, last year and this year, I mean, they have a roster that's capable of going undefeated. In my personal opinion, they had it last year, and I think if you talk with Flowers, he'll tell you they got out of sync, and I think their eyes got a little bit too bug-eyed because when you see the chance of going undefeated, you get a little tight,
and you're not accustomed to it. That's the main thing. They were not accustomed to that because for years, Smith was the laughingstock of college football, not just in Charlotte, but regionally.
Yeah.
And nationally, it was an unknown. It was like, who?
Yeah.
So after all those years of futility, Maurice Flowers comes in as head coach. They struggled the first season, but they lost close games. Second year, they go 7-3. Third year, 8-2. And if you are in the progression, it should be 9-1.
Yeah.
And the thing of it is, they are now in that favorites chair. And I don't think that will pose as much of a problem as being 8-0 last year did. Because the guys who are on this roster who were there last year, they've seen that. Even somebody like Quavaris Crouch, who played at Michigan State and Tennessee, he wasn't on teams that were where the expectations were that high. And so even if you're a Power 4 player who's playing at programs that aren't necessarily considered national title factors, that's new to you too.
Yeah.
And so now this is a group that's already seen that they were inundated by media last year, which was new. It was new to me, much less to them.
You're usually the only one there.
Yeah. And last year, it's like, holy smokes, where's this horde of reporters coming from? But that is something that they are now accustomed to. They've seen it. They understand what happens when you don't manage that very well. And now that experience, I think, is something that can be carried over to this season and perhaps a spot in the title game. And from there, maybe even a spot in the NCAAs, which would be a first for the school.
Well, let me flip that on its head real quick. You know I love doing this. Now that they're in one of those favorite seats and the expectations are high, what happens if they have some rough patches and they finish 7-3, 6-4, something like that?
It's a failure.
Is it just back to the same old Golden Bulls, or did
No,
okay?
because even if they fall off to 6-4, 7-3, you have to go back to the early 70s, I think, maybe late 60s. The last time Smith strung together 3 straight winning seasons, that would be a first for in a long time for them. So this is still a program that's cultivating new ground, for lack of a better term, in terms of being able to sustain winning seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Championship seasons are almost a foreign concept because the only time that Smith has won a CIAA title was in 1969 when there was no title game.
Oh boy.
So all of this is new. And when you're talking about dealing with a team of 100 or so athletes who weren't even born the last time Smith had that type of relevance.
Their parents might not even been born back
or their grandparents.
Well, maybe their grandparents were born.
Yeah, well, if you're talking about 1969, maybe.
My parents weren't born when my grandparents were born, and I'm about that college age. So, but last thing before we put a pin in the Golden Bulls, my favorite thing to do when it comes to prognosticating. Morehouse College, win-loss.
Win.
Valdosta State, win-loss.
Since it's in Charlotte, and they'll have something. Win.
Elizabeth City State.
Win.
Virginia Union, at Virginia Union.
I think Virginia Union will remember what happened last year. Loss.
Okay, so what, 3-1. Bluefield State.
Win.
Virginia State.
Win.
Shaw.
Win.
Winston-Salem State.
That's it.
In
That's in Charlotte.
Yeah.
That's a win.
Fayetteville State. Where are they?
They've never beaten Fayetteville during Maurice's tenure at Smith. Win.
Woo! All right.
And Livingstone, win.
No. Maurice Flowers version. That school in Salisbury.
Oh, win.
There you go.
So
Okay.
that's why I say I think that
9-1.
9-1. This is a 9-1 capable team, and if they're really hopped up.
Oh man, if they get that Virginia Union game, then you know I'm gonna start talking about they got a chance to go undefeated. But
yeah, well, you take them one game at a time. But think about it: the Morehouse game, they played Morehouse last year, beat the brakes off them. This year they're going to play. The game is at Harvard.
great for exposure. You talk about no one knowing of John C. Smith, getting them out and putting them on that kind of stage. I think it's pretty cool.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the birthplace of college football or
Cambridge.
American football, period. Even though the first game was played, I guess, in New Jersey, but that's basically New England. So, yeah. But that's a big opportunity for Smith. You get the season off to a good start, and I'm sure they will turn their attention quickly to Valdosta State, which has a new coach this year, but is also one of those Division II national powers. And that is the key to the door to the rest of the season, I think. You go out and you beat Valdosta, everybody knows you're for real.
Fair enough. Well, any other topics? What we haven't done this on. What are we looking forward to?
Actually, I'm looking forward to NBA Summer League tonight with the Hornets.
It's the first time he said he's looking forward to anything from the Hornets in a hot minute. You weren't even looking forward to the draft.
They're unbeaten, even though it's not that huge a deal.
They didn't play Cooper Flag.
But I think that I'm mildly intrigued now to see what this group of younger players can do. 3-0, you have an opportunity to stretch it to 4, and it's an opportunity. I'm under no delusion that a lot of these dudes, you'll never hear from them again. But I want to see how much growth has occurred with these young Hornets. And hey, I just thought about it this week. It's like, look, if the NBA really wanted to spice up some drama with Summer League, do something that will impact the regular season too. If you win the Summer League title, give yourself a game or two during the regular season or something. Or whatever. But do something to make it worthwhile to cause some real impact there. And I know it's some sort of fantasy.
They'd have to look that up for sure.
It's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, you're going to give them a couple of extra wins or something there. Well, then you're starting to skew the 82-game season, which is already too long. But do something to make Summer League really worth it.
Here's what has intrigued me the most, and you just mentioned how some of these guys you won't ever hear from again. That's just a fact. The players that are playing their best, they're going to be on the team. I don't think in any scenario KJ Simpson, the way he's performed in the Summer League, at least doesn't have a spot backing up LaMelo or Colin Sexton. He'll be there in a reserve role. T.J. Salon's been very impressive. After a rough game one, Con Knipples had a couple of decent games now. Liam McNeely, good gracious alive, who could have thought?
He's been balling out.
That dude's good. Kalkbrenner, like I said when they drafted him, offense is going to take a little bit of time, but defensively, he's doing what he's supposed to do, blocking shots, altering shots, grabbing a couple steals as a 7-1 big.
Yeah, you can't teach tall.
No, you can't. And, well, I wish he'd rebound at a little bit higher level, but I think that'll come. Right now, the NBA might be a little too athletic for him, but I think his defensive ability is what's going to ultimately land him a starting role.
Yeah.
So, is this the last game? Yeah, they played Philly.